Well, hello and welcome to SoCal Prep Report. I'm Randy Rosenblum, your host. I'll be joined by Tarek Fatal of SB Live in a moment. The high school season is over. It's summer break. We're going to recap a lot of the calendar year, go through a lot of different things that happened in 23 and into 24. Also, Jim Ozella, the coach at Hart, the great baseball coach, retiring after 25 seasons, wins a championship in D2 in the Southern section, his first in his career. He's retiring. He'll join us as well. Tarek, it's over.
I'm getting ready. I'm going to polish up on my golf game this summer. But other than that, it's been another great year. I just wrapped up my 9th year covering high school sports here in Southern California, year 10 next year, and I already can't wait.
Last thing that was played was the regional baseball championships and softball championships. So let's start with baseball. Orange Lutheran in the highest division that's played in this tournament, D1, 7-6 over La Mirada. Really the big story here, they win the title and their coach steps down, Eric Borba, after 16 years.
Yeah, Orange Lutheran really got built into, I would argue, a national program. They were always in national rankings. They just won the Trinity League, obviously a really good league. I would argue the best league in the state this year. Mission League was a little down, but a great way to end his coaching career, a regional champion.
And the team that came so close all year was Moore Park. The team Hart beat in the D2 Southern Section Final gets to the regional championship, and it's heartbreak again, losing a 4-run lead late and losing to top-seeded Liberty.
Yeah, that's just a tough one. I think sometimes you just chalk up sports, baseball. I don't know if it's particular to that sport, but sometimes it's just not your year, and I think that's how the Musketeers felt this year.
For St. John Bosco, it was their year. Very good team, rallied a number of different times in the playoffs and eke out a nice victory over Bakersfield Christian 5-4 in D3. D4, Pacifica of Oxnard got a home run from Devon Wilkes very late in the game in the 6th inning. That was the difference, 2-1 there. Cesar Chavez in D5 over Azusa, 8-6. Now, we mentioned that Borba has set out to a new path, gone at Olu. How about Ralph Grajeda at Yucaipa? He resigns after 7 years.
Yeah, that's we've had Coach Grajeda on this show a number of times, and he's been a great guest and just a world of knowledge baseball-wise. And the thing that always stood out about Coach Grajeda is how much community was involved in his program out at Yucaipa, and we wish him well.
Wherever he lands, he's going to win baseball games. Every year, Yucaipa was in the mix. Every year, they win at least 20 ball games. So we wish Ralph the best of luck. And he was a guy that was on this show and many times and was always a very friendly individual. So is Jim Ozella. He's out at Hart only because he wanted to retire. But boy, did he go out in style, winning a Division II championship.
Yes, he did. It didn't come without a little controversy. I think it's a storyline that was talked about for weeks. I talked about it on different airwaves. I wrote about it. I did a full breakdown on it. Nevertheless, he's a champion, and he goes out on top. Can't wait to talk with him.
Well, he's with us now. Let's bring in Coach Jim Ozella from Hart. Coach, could you have ever imagined that you would retire in a championship manner, and it's your first title after 25 years? Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. I guess I got it right finally after 25 years of coaching. But it was a great year. 26-5 on the year. We played real well late in the season, so our guys were playing their best baseball at the end of the year.
And you have with you Brayden Jefferis, your outstanding senior shortstop. And Brayden, my question to you is, how much did you guys want to win it for the coach? I know you always want to win a title, especially as senior. You want to get that crown. But how much did you want to win it for Jim Ozella?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was definitely on our minds. With it being his first, we had to get it done and just to send him out the right way.
Brayden, the first game of the playoffs was, other than the final, of course, was the tightest game you guys had. 14 innings. It took some magic, I would say, is maybe the appropriate term to use, to win that first game. Once you did, you seemed to catch some momentum. Can you talk about just getting over that first hump and then rolling through those games up until the final?
Yeah, I mean, the first game is always, the hardest. A little nerves, first playoff game. No one wants to be one and done. But once we got that out of the way, we felt good and, started kind of figuring it out a little bit and got it done.
Coach, before I was with SB Live with the Los Angeles Daily News, and I've been doing high school sports for 9 years, and that's how long I've been covering your program, gotten to know you a little bit, and you're very friendly, but somewhat stoic. You don't show a lot of emotion all the time. How emotional was this season for you? Was it a little different? Did you carry out some emotion once you actually got to lift that CIF plaque?
I had a lot of excitement in the playoffs. It was a fun roll. I was kind of coming along for the ride. We had some fun in the playoffs. We dogpiled a lot. When you dogpile, that's a fun time. So it was good to see the guys do that. I kind of just sat back and watched it and came along for the ride.
You're in this unbelievable final. You eke out the victory 7-6 over Moore Park. And yeah, the ball bounced. It was a ground rule double. You deserved to win the game. For a moment there, it looked like it was a home run because it was first ruled a home run. But were you thinking during the game, that's my last game? Was that on your mind, or were you so into the game you didn't think about that at all?
Ball is hit to right field. It could be caught.
I was asked
It is
that
caught,
question.
and Hart's going to win the game. In
No,
dramatic
for me
fashion,
it was
they avert
fun
a
to see our
massive,
guys
massive
be
loss
successful. I want to have them
late in the game.
experience that dogpiling. So it really, for me, I really wasn't worrying about what my game, whether it was my last or whether it was my first.
Brayden, when you didn't know what the call was, were you devastated at that point? And how did your emotions change once it went from a home run to a ground rule double, and now Hart could still win the CIF title?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, at first I thought, definitely ground rule double, and I thought it was foul. So I was saying to the umpire, that's foul ball. And he's like, no, it was fair. And then he signaled home run, and I was so confused. I was like, that was a ground rule double, and I thought it was foul at first. And then once they overturned it, and it was a double. And then we had infield in, got first 2 outs, and it was felt pretty good actually. 2 outs, and we kind of felt like, we can actually win this thing.
I got to ask, to piggyback off Randy's question, when the lights started, basically the celebration ensued. That must have felt really odd to you, because generally there's not a celebration that really kind of gets taken back. I mean, that's really what it felt like. Can you walk us through a little more in detail, kind of seeing the lights go off, everyone celebrate, and then having to kind of turn it back on and, like you said, get 3 more outs?
Yeah, it was insane. The lights were flashing. And, I mean, I didn't know that was going to happen, and so it was just definitely a whirlwind, and then kind of had to lock back in once they said it was a double and he had infield in, and obviously that's not an easy situation. It's definitely high stress, but then kind of locked in and we got it done.
Yeah, you did get it done, getting the 3 outs, winning the game 7-6 over Moore Park. Coach, last ad, you go to Dodger Stadium. Tyler Glass now, who pitched for you at Hart. It's his bobblehead night. They honor your Hart team. That had to be just the night of all nights for you. That was the icing on the cake, I would imagine.
What a great evening. See Tyler wearing our championship shirt. The introductions before the game were awesome. We were on the field with Corona, so it was really cool that they honored the Division I and Division II teams. And here's one even better for you guys. The coaching staff got to go up in the press box and meet Oral Hershiser. 20-minute meeting with Oral Hershiser. Now that's special.
It really is, and he's a special guy, and he loves baseball at all levels, and I'm glad that you guys were able to connect with Oral. Glad, Coach, you were able to win it in your 25th and final season. Hopefully you come back someday and do some more coaching. Brayden, I know you're on to Michigan to play for the Wolverines, shortstop there. We wish you the best of luck. But, guys, really a magnificent year, and congratulations.
Thank you.
To me, one of the great stories in prep sports this season.
No, certainly. I think I wouldn't call it like a farewell tour, but I guess that's kind of what it is when Coach Ozella said, hey, this is my last year. and the players rally together and find a way to get to that CIF final and win a championship plaque for them, that is a great story.
He mentioned Corona. It was a perfect setup for us because now we're going to start going back on what happened this year, and we might as well start with baseball, follow suit. Corona was the best team. They really won the mythical national championship. The Panthers had a magnificent year, and it was those two pitchers that did the job. Seth Hernandez, who became the state player of the year. He's only a junior, and Ethan Schiefelbein. Nobody could beat those guys.
Yeah, they were terrific, and that team was basically loaded. I mean, just talent at every position. The list goes on of players that are just big-time college prospects. Some will be pro prospects. I believe in the Corona Harvard Westlake final, there was about 15 to 20, depending on some underclassmen that might pan out, professional prospects. And this was Sam Burgess' 3-run homer in Lake Elsinore that really sealed the deal for the Panthers.
Yeah, and again, they're going to have a lot of kids coming back next year, and the man that's going to really trigger everything will be Seth Hernandez, and he's just one of the guys. They have the Ebell brothers coming back as well.
Yeah, this was basically the final out, and Corona celebrates. And what's so impressive to me about this team was they didn't win anything last year, but yet they came into the year with this talented roster and a target on their back. So generally, if you're the defending champ and everyone's giving you their best shot, well, they were getting everyone's best shot just simply because how much talent they had, and yet they were able to basically parry all those shots and win a Division I championship.
In city baseball, of course, they finished their top 2 divisions at Dodger Stadium, and we talked about this last week. In the Open Division, Bell knocked off defending champion Birmingham. And it was great to see Bell, the underdog, win a title.
Yeah, again, when you were talking about stories, right? Jim Ozella is a great story. We're going to talk about Mia Kadama in a little bit. She's a great story. What a great story, and that's Bell, is just finding a way to win the Open Division championship. They only let up 1 run throughout the whole postseason. Despite being the 4 seed, this is a dark horse story that comes in and wins a championship at Dodger Stadium and takes down City Section Blue Blood Birmingham, I think is the appropriate way to describe it. Great story.
Yeah, and Jaden Rojas, their pitcher, was great at Dodger Stadium. He'll return next year. Again, a young Bell team, so they're going to be right there for the city title again next year. And in D1, the North Hollywood Huskies over Banning 3-1. The Huskies were the 8 seed. Banning was the 7 seed. A lot of upsets in D1.
Your Huskies, let's be honest. Yeah, again, a story that shows you the unexpected, right? That's what the city section, I think, needs to hang its hat on. It's not exactly great high-level athletics, I'm just being honest, but the parity, you don't know what's going to happen, and that's just as exciting.
Exciting? You had to love softball this year. Let's talk about the regional finals that were played last week. D1, Murrieta Mesa. First team we're going to show 8-2. That wasn't quite as exciting as some of the others. In D2, Etowanda 5, Mater Dei Catholic 4. Now these games start to get entertaining. Look at these scores. Otay Ranch 7-3 over Imperial. Little distance between them there. Then the last 2 involving city schools. Not so much fun for the city. Oceanside over Garfield, but at least they got to the regional finals in softball. And then the final score we'll give you in D5. Coastal Academy doing it to Chatsworth 11-6. But it really is great to see 2 city softball teams go all the way to the regional final.
A lot of programs decide to opt out of the regionals, right? There's graduation, there's other events going on. Some kids want to go start playing travel ball, but then there's programs that know, Randy, I don't know. Basically, they're saying to themselves, we don't know when's the next time we're going to be able to even play in the regional playoffs. So they try and get as many games as possible. It's good for those programs to compete in the regionals.
The teams that didn't play in the regionals because they had the national championship just wrapped up. That would be Pacifica of Garden Grove. They had a great pitcher in Bryn Nally. She was spectacular all season long, went 19-2, beat Orange Lutheran, shut them out in the final. They had the best pitcher, they had the best team, and they win back-to-back titles.
I was there for that game, a great game, and just a high-level pitching display by Bryn Nally, going to Long Beach State, and kudos to Pacifica for winning another Division I title, back-to-back champs.
And they had a great hitter in Kanaya Bragg. She's on her way to UCLA. She had a homer in that final, that 3-0 victory over Olu, and She had 8 homers, like I said, on the season, and she'll be a very good player in Westwood for UCLA. In the city section, Carson again did it to Granada Hills 2 years in a row. This one was not to be believed. 1-0 in 14 innings for the Colts. Really a bugaboo for the Highlanders, losing 2 heartbreaking games 2 years in a row to Alana Langford, who hit winning home runs back-to-back years for Carson against the Highlanders.
Yeah, she's the Highlander killer. Look, again, more stories, more unexpected play in the city section. Rough year for Granada. Boys baseball. The baseball team was the #1 seed. They get ousted in the semifinal to Bell. The girls' softball team at Granada, they get to the final and they lose in 14 innings. Rough year to be a Highlander.
Congratulations, too, to Giselle Pantoja. She was the pitcher of the year, the player of the year for Carson. And in that final, when they beat Granada, she went the distance, allowed 1 hit in 14 innings, and struck out 17.
Amazing.
That's why she was the city player of the year. All right, let's review some football. And when you think football in Southern California, it always seems to start with Mater Dei. Mater Dei goes 13-1 this year, wins the CIF Southern Section D1 championship, wins the state championship, and in some polls a mythical national title, although Bishop Gorman of Las Vegas is right there as well. But what a year for this Frank McManus coach team. They win the state.
Yeah, they do. Listen, they won everything on the field they were expected to, with Frank McManus at the helm, taking over for Bruce Rawlinson. Obviously, we know he's no longer the coach. They've got Raul Lara now, but nevertheless, the Monarchs are the defending state champions at the open division level in California.
Yeah, their quarterback.
It's funny because really the athlete hasn't changed. I mean, when you have an athlete, he's an athlete. What has changed is the perspective how to treat that athlete. When I first became the head coach at Poly, remember, I had 5 All-Americans on that football team, so I inherited a very good, talented football team. And so now coming to Mater Dei in my first year, obviously it's the same talent. It's like, oh my goodness, these guys, we got some pretty good football players here. But again, to me, it is a little different because, you know, kids talk about stars and this and that and how many offers they have. And so the game of recruiting and stuff like that has definitely changed, especially with the social media. But again, it's something that I'm fully aware of. By me being outside of the big schools and kind of grooming the smaller schools, kind of helped me give me a better vision of what I really need to do.
Yeah, that's Raul Lara who has taken over, and I know that was you who was talking to him.
Yeah, you know, they had their basically his official introduction was this past week on a Wednesday morning. He's been on the job for about a month, but there was really no time to get him in front of the media, have a press conference. So there was an opportunity for the media to ask him questions. He came off personable. He came off discipline, structure. These are things I think that program need. I do think it was a good hire for Mater Dei.
Well, they've already won a 7-on-7 tournament, and they beat Bosco in the final 7-0. It always seems to be Bosco and Mater Dei. Bosco had another great year. They actually won the Trinity League because they administered the only loss to Mater Dei during the year. So Bosco won the league, but Mater Dei ended up getting the last laugh. So it was a great year for Bosco. Also, Corona Centennial was strong. Sierra Canyon had a breakthrough year.
Yeah, they did. Sierra Canyon football ended up getting to the Division I playoffs, ended up getting to the semifinals, losing to Mater Dei, but a big step forward for the Trailblazers, and they return Wyatt Becker next year. Really, really good Utah commit at quarterback. John Ellinghouse will have the Sierra Canyon Trailblazers right back in those Division I playoffs.
In the city section, it's still Birmingham. They clobbered Garfield in the championship game 49-7. They've won 4 straight city titles in football, 42 straight games in succession. That's victories over city competition. That ties the all-time record by Wilson High School back into the 70s. They have a chance, obviously, to break it when they play their first city game this year. Birmingham, Jim Rose, the Patriots have been great for a long time.
I think things are going to change this fall. I think finally, I don't know if we'll see Birmingham lose a West Valley League game. I think they'll probably keep that streak going, whatever number it's at for now. But there's a possibility we could see a new Open Division City Section champion in 2024.
Yeah, I think the Marine League's pretty strong, so there's going to be some issues there.
The Carsons, the Franklins of the world, they're right there.
Yeah, I would agree with
Narbonne has one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Sorry, just had to add that.
Yeah. And Cuevas, by the way, returned
Correct.
to Franklin today, actually, He went to a couple other schools. Now he's bounced back. He started his high school career, Eduardo Cuevas, and he's back to Franklin. So Franklin, as you mentioned, is a very good team for the upcoming season. Let's turn our attention to flag football in the city. Remember, the southern section does not have flag. That'll come to us next year. We'll finally get flag football in the southern section. But in the upper division, it was Birmingham. And Jim Rose coached that team. They beat San Pedro in the finals.
Yeah, Jim Rose, again, won a flag football city championship, a 11-man football city championship, and was actually knocking on the door for a softball championship too. But Birmingham, nonetheless, wins the city championship in flag football. The southern section does have flag football. They just don't have flag football championships.
What makes that one so special for Jim Rose, his daughter Jessica Rose
Correct.
was the star of the flag team. She's also on the softball team, but she was the city player of the year in flag football. Also, we had Verdugo Hills win the lower division, which was D1. They startled a pretty good Sylmar team, 29-20. Dons had lost to the Spartans earlier in the year, so they got revenge.
Listen, I think at the end of the day, we were all I was not exactly surprised. I knew flag football would go crazy. I just knew it would. The participation was high, and I anticipate the southern section and city section having more girls come out to play flag football.
Yeah, and again, the southern section will have flag football next season in earnest with championships. It'll be great. The city got the first one going this year, and they had two great champions. And we just documented that, Birmingham and certainly Verdugo Hills. All right, let's turn our attention to Tarek's favorite sport, prep basketball. Harvard-Westlake in boys basketball repeats as state champions. Trent Perry was phenomenal.
Yeah, McDonald's All-American led team of like was a USC commit. Then Andy Enfield left. Now he's going to UCLA. Trent Perry, state player of the year, the whole nine, led by Coach David Rabibo. They win the Open Division championship. They go on to win the regional championship and then the state championship. A great accomplishment for David Rabibo and his program. They are the back-to-back CIF State Open Division champions.
And he has coming back next year junior forward Nick Jimenia, who is a sensational player, and they figure to be very strong. Other teams that were good this year were Notre Dame, Mater Dei, as always, St. John Bosco. Wynwood really came on strong, but I know you like Roosevelt, who nearly got it done.
Yeah, Roosevelt was the team Harvard-Westlake had to continue to get by. That was the Open Division final, was Roosevelt Harvard-Westlake, and then the regional final, basically the semifinal for the state championship, was a repeat of Harvard-Westlake Roosevelt. Great games. Roosevelt gets pretty much all their star players back, so that's going to be a really, really good team. Isaac Williamson, Brayden Burries, and a couple other guys that are coming back for that Roosevelt Mustangs team.
Yeah, that's the final. You see Rabibo and Trent Perry get the basket there and knock off Roosevelt in the CIF Southern Section Championship game. In the city section, there was great parity this year. King drew over Laces in the final.
Yeah, that was a really, really fun storyline. Again, more parity. That was the storyline, I think, now looking back on the city section season and all the different sports. Parity won the game. That's what made it exciting. New champions, new matchups, new rivalries, and new players. So really curious to see how King Drew does next year. But, yeah, I wouldn't count on them winning again just because I think there's so much parity in the city.
It was a great year for Chatsworth High School in the city as well. They have the man coming back, Elijah Arenas. He averaged 33 this year. God knows what he'll average next year.
Yeah, he ended up getting Chatsworth to the Division IV state final. They fell short, but he did set a record, 44 points. It's the second most scored in a CIF state final in California history. The only man to do it was Tracy Murray, who I believe scored 60 in a final.
Girls basketball, Etiwanda repeats as champions. They win the state title back-to-back. Kennedy Smith was their star.
Yeah, this was another, he's on the loose, stand to loose. A crazy coach in a good way. I mean, this guy is passionate. When the other team scores, it's like he gets gut punched every time. He takes it so personal, but it goes through the team. Everyone thinks the same thing. They're on the same page. A great coach and a great program, and they're going to be even better next year.
Yeah, Kennedy Smith averaged 20 a game. She's on her way to USC. They have Grace Knox coming back next year. Terrific player, some young kids coming in. They will be, as Tarek said, maybe even better next year. City side, Birmingham got the city championship. They knocked off the defending champion, Westchester.
Yeah, again, more parity. I don't know when's the last time girls basketball for Birmingham won a city title. Definitely not at the highest level at any time recently, so a good accomplishment there for the Patriots.
As we turn our attention maybe to the performance of the year, Mia Kadama from Louisville High School in Woodland Hills, basketball and soccer. What a year she had.
Yeah, this was probably the story of the year, if we're being honest. Not only did she play 2 sports in one season, because here in California, basketball and soccer are played in the winter, it's the same season, but she ended up being in the soccer championship on a Friday evening and then a basketball championship on a Saturday afternoon and won both. And that was the picture there with 2 CIF plaques, one for basketball, one for soccer, an outstanding accomplishment, and something you alluded to off air, not just a player on the roster, the best soccer player and a starter on the basketball team.
And then in the regional, she had the goal that won it for Louisville. So in a 1-0 game, she put the goal in to win it. She was a tremendous athlete, great citizen, and we wish her well in the future. What a year, what a career she had at Louisville. Track and field, we documented this last week. Deshaun Banks from Birmingham. Boy, we have a lot of Birmingham news on this program. Won the state high jump championship, only doing it after a year of competition. Boy, did he learn his trade quickly.
More great storylines to just recall on this year. Deshaun Banks, not something he does all the time, right? Gets into high jump for the first time, maybe been doing it for about a year, and goes on and wins a state championship, like you said. Really a tremendous athlete to do that.
And Sadie Engelhart, winning her 3rd straight state championship in the 1600. She can win anything she wants at the high school level. She's got a real shot at the Olympics in Paris. This is a great middle distance runner from Ventura High.
It goes to show you the talent that's in Southern California. These aren't just future collegiate athletes, future professional athletes, but future Olympians. I mean, we could go down the list. Michael Norman's competing. I don't know if you remember Harvard Westlake water polo player named Ben Halleck. He was a senior in high school, and he played in the Rio Olympics for men's water polo USA. So you're talking about high school athletes that can compete at the Olympic level. Really, really impressive.
As we leave you, and I wanted to throw this at you.
Sure.
These are a few things I'm looking forward to. Obviously, football, modern day Bosco. Laura there, Bosco is always great. Great football in the Trinity League. Girls flag football going into the CIF Southern section as a real sport. That'll be great. Will Harvard Westlake and Etiwanda win state championships in hoops for the 3rd straight year? Etiwanda in the girls, Harvard Westlake in the boys. And will Bell, out of nowhere, win back-to-back city championships in the city in baseball?
I don't know if they can win it again. They definitely had a little bit of magic on their side this year, but they do return a lot of good talent.
They do.
A lot of their best players are sophomores. I think they have. I think one of their pitchers that pitched against Granada was a freshman, Randy. So they have talent coming back. Could they be in the mix again? I think you can bet on that. Can they win it? Woo, that takes some pedigree. We'll see.
Well, this is our final show of the season. We'll be back August 22nd. I don't expect you to remember that. But on August 23rd, we'll have football for you. El Camino Real football. 4 games again for Jason Zabalik, his football team, starting at Kennedy the next night on the 23rd. It's great to have ECR back on our airwaves.
It is. That's a program on the rise. They finally have their home football field now after a couple years, so they'll have some true home games, and I think that's something to be celebrated.
Yeah, it's been a long haul getting that field, hasn't it? So what are you going to do over the summer?
I'm going to spend time with my daughter. She's 10 months old now, so she'll be 1 August 10th. That'll be great. And we moved. We live in Chatsworth now, so really just kind of hanging out with the family and enjoying our new home.
You don't want to know what I'm going to do, do you?
Actually, I really don't.
We're going to Iceland.
Oh, okay.
Take
That sounds
a
cool.
trip.
Is it? Are you going on a cruise? Like, is it
Cruise.
a cruise? Yeah. See, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Now, how many days are you at sea?
A lot. We're going to stop in Greenland a couple times.
Okay.
It's going to be fun.
I know you stop in port, but like, there could be like
Yeah.
a 2 or 3 day
No, there's
window
going to be
there.
days at sea. Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I don't know, man. Too much thrill for me.
Yeah, too much food for me. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tarek, that's the end of 4 years for you here.
I know.
It's gone fast.
We were just talking about it. Yeah, it'll be year 5 with SoCal Prep Report. I'm very thankful to our producer and the production team here. Very, very thankful for all the work that they do going into this show, and looking forward to another year starting in August.
Yeah, we thank Carla Carlina, the GM here at LA36, and of course Larry Zavala, who's been the producer for this show for a lot of years. So for Tarek, I'm Randy. We'll see you in a few months. Enjoy the summer. It was a great year in prep sports. We'll talk to you in August. Good night, everybody.
You know what I thought about middle of show?
What?
Is Wilson High, is their mascot the Mules?
The Mules.
Wow.
The Wilson Mules.
Now that's
Ron
intimidating.
Kusha, great quarterback, 42 straight. His dad, Vic, was the head coach.
Yeah, that's tough. Imagine being a mule.
Yeah.